Hey everyone, I'm Kate Knowles, and welcome to our latest edition of Scriptly Adapted, and this is my co-host.
How you doing, guys? It's Kiyode.
So today we're going to be doing the movie Get on the Bus,
Done
by Spike Lee, produced and directed by him.
Produced and directed.
As a tribute to not just African or African-American culture throughout February, but all year long, as we should be celebrating it.
Absolutely.
Before we do that, we're going to do a kind of an Oscar feedback. I want to first congratulate the cast and the team of Argo, because I loved that they won Best Picture. I thought it was a well-deserved win. I really did.
Absolutely.
I think Ben Affleck was a little snubbed, but hey,
he got snubbed.
It happens. He won every other award.
That was very rare that a director didn't win Best Director, but his movie won Best Picture.
Yeah.
That's a big time rarity.
I like it that when he got up there, the guy who started speaking, one of the other producers, he said, I wanted to speak first because we as a team want to thank you for being our director, and I think that was a really good thing that he did.
I think he's proven himself time and time again with his films that he is a talented man when it comes to directing a film and, bringing the story to life in a clear-cut way that makes the viewer understand what's going on. I mean, The Town, Gone Baby Gone, and now Argo.
My favorite win of the night was Jennifer Lawrence. I am so happy. I'm shocked. Shocked.
That was the biggest shock of the night.
I am so happy that she won because it helps her become untypecast from the Hunger Games, which a lot of actors are not able to do.
Look at Kristen Stewart in the Twilight series.
Yeah, but Kristen Stewart's just a whole other entity of her own. She's just so awkward. I mean, it's just painful to watch. And she's not talented either. Because you can be awkward in person. You can be awkward in person, people. But if you know how to act, then you can kind of redeem yourself. Right. But she can't act, and she's awkward, so it's just a bad combination. Well, I thought the Oscars was good. It was good, clean fun. I was impressed, and I was happy with the results. I loved the outfits, but whatever. Right. But it was a good show, and I enjoyed it. Life of Pi got a lot more awards than I was expecting.
4 awards they walked away with, including Best Director for Ang Lee, and who knew Ang Lee was going to get that. That's definitely a film we're going to have to go see.
Gavanjane, I think that's her name. Wallace. I think it's Gavanjane. But she was the youngest nominee for Best Actress, and it's for Beasts of the Southern Wild. And when she was interviewed on the red carpet, they were asking her, they were confirming with her that she's now been hired to play Annie. And it all has to do with the fact that she's been nominated for an Oscar, because didn't you say Willow Smith was in the running?
They bumped out Willow Smith.
Yeah.
And got a real Oscar-nominated actress to do it. So congratulations. Get on the Bus.
Yeah.
Directed, produced by Spike Lee, one of the only films that he did not write himself. We have Reggie Rock Bythewood, who wrote this movie. And the movie centers around, it was made in '96, and it centers around a group of African-American men who journey across country from LA to Washington for the Million Man March. My father went to this Million Man March, and it was a feeling during that time of brotherhood, solidarity, togetherness, and that's what I got also from the film. Seeing my dad go with my uncle at that time, it was beautiful, because they were getting ready, and they were calling their friends, and it was just a joyous, positive situation. Right. And that's what I got from the film. It is by far one of my favorite Spike Lee films. Not just because of the way he films it, which is this real raw style, like in every film, but it was different in this one. It's almost a film within a film, because you have one of the characters who is a USC, I believe, film student, played by, who was he played by? Hill Harper.
Yes,
Hill Harper played him. And Hill Harper was directing or filming his journey to the Million Man March. And there would be certain scenes that would be filmed through his camera. And then there would be certain scenes filmed from the movie camera. Right. So you had a film within a film. Literally. And I thought that was just, very creative. It's simple in a way, but it was just creative the way he just smoothly transitioned from Hill's camera back to the movie camera.
Because it's also representative of telling the stories of each of the characters.
My favorite character was Gary, who is a biracial man, played by Roger Guinevere Smith, who is one of my favorite actors, who's always in a lot of Spike Lee's films. Just played this biracial man who was struggling on this bus with identity. And one of the main reasons why he's going to this march is to be around African American men because he wasn't exposed to that in his childhood. That's some real backstory that I read up on. And he is one of my favorite characters, and his journey from the beginning where he gets onto the bus, where he's, struggling to connect with the other guys, up until his journey to Washington is, just a metamorphosis. It's a metamorphosis. He just grows. You see his character grow.
Yeah. I loved it. When you told me that Spike Lee didn't write it, I put two and two together because, I appreciate Spike Lee as a director and I like his raw style with some things, but I feel like when he writes his own stuff, his plots are all over the place. And it's very hard for me to become really sympathetic to his characters because there's so many of them. You don't really know who you're supposed. It's like when you go to a restaurant, you have like multiple waitresses. You never know who to tip. It's that kind of thing. Like you never know who you're connecting with because he has so many. He delves into so many different subplots, so it's really hard to follow, and I don't like that. So with this movie, even though there were stories in stories, it wasn't literally a story. It was the story of each character. It was almost kind of like a character analysis of each man on the bus. And it was interesting to me. And I think, Get on the Bus is such a clever title too, because what that does is it's kind of, not to get too deep into it, but it's also kind of thinking, it's being forceful. It's telling yourself, there are no excuses. Get on this bus and go to this event, go to this march where you can be, with people who will motivate you, who will inspire you, who are powerful, positive people. Every movie that you have Ossie Davis or Ruby Dee in, they play these larger-than-life, older African-American, and matriarchal characters that kind of, to be honest, kind of fit a stereotype of what you think a matriarchal and patriarchal character would be. But they do it so well, and I think that's because they're such notable characters themselves in the industry and as far as they've come. And to watch Ossie Davis kind of metamorphosize into kind of the father figure on the bus was very important. And, not to give you too much information, because for those of you who haven't seen it, we don't want to spoil it, but, people kind of flock to him, and they're drawn to him, and it's not until something happens where people realize, like, wow, like, we're really all in this together. We've all been touched by each other and our stories.
And later on, there is a huge. I'm not going to give it away. It is an older movie. I could give it away, but still,
people probably know. But
at the end of the movie, something happens to Pops, which changes the dynamic of the men on the bus. Pops was sort of that glue that held them all together throughout all the fighting and conflict that was going on.
Because you have a bunch of men on a bus with different personalities, and even though they're men of the same culture, they're still people, they're still human beings, and they're not going to get along. And they might have conflict. So you need that figure to kind of hold it together, because then you do run into the problem of having subplots all over the place. As a black man, how did this movie make you feel? And also knowing that your father and your uncle attended the march, how did it make you feel watching this? What hope did it give you?
It gave me, even though this was 96 and I was younger. Watching it now, it still gave me a lot of. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was beautiful to watch a group of men who didn't know each other, who came from all different walks of life, come together for this one trip and learn so much about each other and themselves that changed them in a way to make them better people. That's what I loved about it.
Great. Awesome. Well, guys, this was Get on the Bus, directed and produced by Spike Lee. And stay tuned for our next show coming soon.
In March, people. This was Skip Lee Adapted.
Take care.